Um, I'd like to start by saying that I do these videos solely for myself. They're kind of like my journal. Not only that, if you happen to watch it and learn something from it or whatever you get from it, then good for you. But it's solely for me. I'll also like to say that I've been really under the weather, um, and uh, I probably just got a common cold, or it could be COVID. But the purpose of me saying that is because, um, like, I'm trading and I'm studying even though I'm ill. For this is the fourth day now that I've been ill, but all Saturday and as much as I could Sunday, I studied. Um, and I just finished hustling to try to make sure I pay my bills. And I'm still studying even though I'm sick, and I'm still trading or watching the market even though I'm sick. But if you're ever not feeling well and you can't stand up, get up and watch the markets, or then don't do it. But for me, um, I was able to do it. And, so this morning, my goal was to watch um, VXRT, um, because Friday, this is the first, so today's the first, so Friday, which is right here, um, it had traded, that was the last stock I traded. I made, I think 500, 550. I made something on this, and it was just going sideways for the rest of the day after, like, I traded it. I had shorted, like, here and then here again, and I missed this big one because I exited twice. I exited early twice, but towards the end of the day and after hours, it was just going sideways. So I was anticipating that it was going to have its first red day. Market open or pre-market, it didn't have its first red day, so I left it alone. Um, Market open, just kept rising all day, kept rising. I wasn't really watching it, and we'll see whenever it decides to have its first red day. Um, its yearly highs is at 1949, so I'm looking for if it doesn't break this past this high, then I'll short it. Excuse me. But if it does break past this high and I'm watching it, I might go for a long. But if you, as you can see here, 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, it took a while for it to start panicking. So I'll wait to see. I mean, the day it broke past its or spiked really high, it had a major pullback. So we'll see if I decide to trade or not. But it is still on my watch list. Um, for sure, it's still on my watch list. But the stock that I traded today was ticker symbol ALYA. Um, Now, when I was watching the markets, I saw two, three other stocks. I was just looking through them, and I saw this stock, and I looked at the yearly chart first, and I saw that it had no sideways price action. It just like had no previous run up, and today was his first big day, and it went up to like $17 or something like that, and it was way off his highs, but I didn't really pay no mind to it. Um, and then I started looking at the well first. Then after that, I looked at the max, and everything's just been going sideways. No big run up or anything like that. And then looking at the 2 minute chart pre-market or 1 minute chart pre-market when I was watching it, but pre-market right here. Um, Before you see, I started watching it around like 8:30, I think. So right here, I saw that you know, it went up so much, it faded, and then it was going up so much again. I mean, it had a bounce, and it just kept fading. So let me get closer. So as I'm watching it, I remember it was like around $5, 5.50, and it just kept fading and fading and fading. And I'm like, man, is this gonna have a bounce or not? I'm like, I'm not going to try to long the bounce, but like, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, and then it all clicked to me. I'm thinking, and it all clicked to me. Right here, hold on, I'll show you what I'm talking about. And one of Stephen Duck's conferences or DVDs I went to, he said if a stock spikes pre-market, right, and it goes up to whatever amount, if it pulls back 30% off its highs, there's a high chance that there's a like a 70% chance is gonna bounce back and go higher. If it goes 50% off its high, so from we'll call it like 250 to 7, so let's say it's about, well, that'll be about what, $7, $8. So around $7 or $8 will make it or let's say it was 10, right? If it goes 50% off its highs, there's a 50% chance that it can bounce, but there's a high chance that it won't. And then if it goes more than 50% off its highs, then there's a 90% chance that it's going to come down. So as I'm watching it, that thought came into my mind. I remembered that he said that. And I'm like, yeah, I remember that too. And every time I watch a stock that does that, it actually really follows what he says because he ran the statistics on it. So I'm watching this pre-market and it's just fading, 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 fading. And I don't want to get in pre-market because I'm like, my rule is not to get in pre-market. If I do, it's gonna be like close to pre-market and just before market open. And I'm not gonna just get in. And I was right for trying to get. I should have gotten in pre-market, but that's just not how I want to trade. So market open, I'm like, you know what? It might panic without me, but most likely it's not. Excuse me. Well, before I get into my trade, during pre-market, during pre-market, the float, I saw that float was um 40 million with a 11 million overhead on outstanding. It had an offering right here. The offering was weird, and I wasn't feeling well to read the offering, but I was just looking for numbers here to tell me what the offering was about, and I didn't really see nothing here from what I remember. And then I think I looked at this one, but all I knew is that they had an offering. All I knew is that they had an offering, so I couldn't tell or figure out where this offering was. Maybe it's in here, but I'm not trying to. I want to read it, but I'm just like mentally not there right now to read it. But this is the offering. Hopefully, like I go back and read it. Um, I don't know, man. So that's what it is, and then um, well, the reason why I got into this trade was like normally I wouldn't trade a first green day, but you can clearly see the yearly chart as I showed you. The yearly chart was bad. It's been fading all pre-market, like as if the company pushed up the stock and shorted way too much shares. I mean, not shorted, but dumped way too much shares too early. And not only that, um, the 90% thing. This stock was like almost 90% off its highs. So I wasn't fucking with it. Like it wasn't. I knew it wasn't going to go up, and if it did, I'll have a perk and come down. And I knew they were going to keep dumping shares. So market open, I shorted 300 shares here, um, or was this okay before market opened? Like it was literally like 3 seconds or 4 seconds before market opened. Then it had a little spike, and then it came crashing down, or not crashing down. Let me zoom in closer. There's just so many candlesticks, so hard to see. So 300 shares here spiked, then it pulled back. So I added, and then it bounced. I'm like, okay, I'm adding right here, and I'm adding slowly because uh, I'm I it's down so much. I'm like, this has to have some kind of bounce, and then come crashing down. So that's what happened, and then it had this big crash, and I was up like I think $200-300, and then uptrended, and then I added here thinking it was just gonna try to keep bouncing, and they're gonna dump shares into every little perk. So I added just what was this? I added just 200 shares. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to add too much, and then it gives me a big spike, and that's what happened. It gave me a big spike, and I was down like probably like $300 or $400, and that's way beyond my risk. But I wasn't too worried about my risk. I mean, I was still worried about it, but not too much because I knew what was going on. I knew they were dumping shares. I knew they were gonna just try to push this down, probably to zero, or not really zero, but I knew they were gonna keep pushing down. It was gonna have a bounce, and this was really just shorts covering, because I know people were shorting um, all pre market. Let's see. I know people were all shorting pre market, and anybody who long this uh, pre market is underwater. Anybody who longs this stock is underwater. This stock is the same trade I had with ticker symbol BBIG and plug and MYOV and these other stocks that I had where they had an offering and they were just dumping all day with no bounce. Um, Ticker symbol BBIG um, and Beyond Meat BYND where and I'll show you those charts after I explain this trade. But it was the same thing as those where they just pumped up the stock pre-market and then dumped it all the way down. So I shorted again another 400 shares here, and then uh, by the time it got to here, I was about $600 down. But I'm like, I already know people are just covering right here, shorts are just covering right here, um, and they're gonna dump it. And I'm like, okay, maybe I shorted way too early. And if I have to get out right now with a $600 loss, then that's what I have to, because um, I just shorted too early. I should have waited for a spike like I was originally told myself to do. And then it started having this panic. You can see the trend changing, and it just started panicking here, um, and then it started panicking some more. So I went from down on my trade. I was in around, I guess I think I was in at $5 or 5.10 or 5.20, something like that. I don't remember my average. And it started panicking, and then I was afraid that it was gonna bounce, here. And my mindset kind of was like bad once it got to here because um, after being down 600, I was like, yo, I'm up 700. Let me just take my gains. Or I was up 900 when it came down to the lowest point on this candlestick, which was 426, and I just took my gains. Seven something. It was 750 roughly. And as I'm watching the stock, I'm like, I'm glad I took my gains. That was a good thing to do to take my gains. I'm up over almost about. I took my gains and I was up like I made about 70 something cent per share. All right here, I was in about 1,200 shares. All of this equaled up to about 1,200. But I think 1,200 is 300 right here. Um, Another three right here. Two and four. Yeah, so 1,200 shares right here, covered right here for a total of 1,200. But after I covered here, I had to really check myself. I'm like, yo, that was a good move to make. You're up 75 cents per share, but that wasn't a good idea because that's not part of the plan, not part of the strategy. You let the stock tells you. You let the stock tell you when to cover, not when you're in fear or you just want to quickly take your gains because you're up on a trade. So I had the wrong mindset there. But it was good to take gains though. And I was in too big of size here. So I broke a rule of cutting losses, size. But the losses thing was part of it. I was willing to let it run up on me for a little bit. But size was just too big. So after I covered and it came crashing down some more, um, on a perk I started um, back shorting. So I shorted here um, for 200 shares. I'm like, it's already down so much. I'm not going to enter with too much size. Then it perked up some more, and I was like, I should enter another 200, but I missed it. Pulled back, perked up again, added another 200 shares here, and then another 400 shares here, and then some more here. Uh, right here, I was up like I don't know how much, but I knew it was gonna have like a nice panic, so I added another 200 shares here. So total, I was in about 1,000, I think. Yeah, 1,000 shares. And then when they had this big panic or this big pullback, I covered for another 400 and something dollar gain. So in total, I made 1217, and I didn't want to trade it no more. I knew it was gonna keep going down, but I wasn't feeling well. I wanted rest, and my brain was just worn out. So I was done trading by then, and I exited around like 355, and by after hours it went to a low of $3. So I missed it by 55 cents, which is okay. Um, yeah, I went to a low of $3. I missed it by 55 cents, so it doesn't matter. I'm glad that um, I'm glad that I was able to trade it and understand this pattern. Um, Not only that, like uh, I've seen this pattern many times before. Like this is not my first time seeing it, and this is what I'm going to show you. A ticker symbol uh, BBIG, which I traded. Um, I traded BBIG on the 21st of January. It's the same thing that happened. I'll show you here. Um, so the 21st of January, pre-market they spiked it up, um, and then market open it pushed up, and then let me go into like the 30-minute chart, bring it all the way back to the 30 to the 21st, right here. So by market open, they just started dumping all their shares. Just dumping all their shares. So it's the same pattern as the one I just showed you now of AYLA, whatever it was. They're just dumping all their shares. Yes, this one had no overhead resistance as well, but it had an offering. And the offering is what's causing it to go down. Just like ALYA had no overhead resistance, but it had an offering, and it just came going straight down. Same thing with Beyond Meat, BYNT. Beyond Meat, same thing. When I traded it, what was the date on it? Um, on the 26th. On the 26th, they spiked it up. Um, Pre-market, market open, they just dumped all their shares. So that's why it's good to do your research before, because my my if I didn't experience these big losses and recognize what mistake I had um before, and I didn't realize what mistakes I were making, and I didn't look up the offerings like I realized I should have, I wouldn't have known. And especially if I didn't go to that boot camp that Rolling Wolf had in Miami when he spoke about offerings in 424 Form B, whatever whatever it is. Every time you see a 424 Form B, they're unloading. That gives them the rights to unload shares right then and there. So if I never went there, I wouldn't have learned that. And today I would have probably went into ALYA um, uh, longing it, and every time I get in, it just goes down on me because they're dumping shares. Um, I would have been longing it, hoping for a bounce, and never get one. Same thing with Plug. Um, Plug was on my supposed to be on my watch list as well. Um, when I traded Plug on the 7th and the 11th. Where is it? So on the 7th, I think I was shorting it the whole time, or I was longing it, and it kept. I was getting a bad. I remember on the 7th, I was getting a bad entry on my longs, and it was hitting my risk, and then bouncing back up. So I kept fucking up myself on this one, um, especially when market around 11. I was this whole from here to here. I was trying to. I think I was trying to long it, and it kept fading on me. And then when I got out and I said finally fuck it, I didn't want to long it no more. I was trying to play it for ABC pattern, and I was playing this ABC pattern too early, and it kept going down on me. And when I finally was like, I'm done with the trade, and I had lost $679 from paper cuts, so many paper cuts, it finally just pushed up on me. But on the 11th, when I was trying to trade it, where is it? Yeah, right here, it kept going sideways and it wasn't going nowhere the whole fucking time. And there was an offering too. So um, I kept losing on that. Just little paper cuts. And I kept losing on that. So, excuse me. Excuse me. And then if I if I go back deeper into my trading in December, and I write all these my wins and losses on a calendar, um, MYVO probably the same. MY MYOV actually probably the same. Um, Come on, man, what the fuck? MYOV. Okay, MYOV. MYOV. MYOV when I traded it on the 28th of December. Nearly the same thing. This had a bounce eventually, but nah. It's not exactly, but it's close to it, but um that's what it is, man. But I've seen this pattern many times before, and I'm glad I was able to recognize it and take advantage of it. Uh, I got a few more stocks on my watch list. We'll see how it goes.